1 in 8,192. The odds to encounter a shiny Pokemon. There is a whole community, and a pretty large one at that dedicates itself to hunting down and catching as many of these shiny Pokemon as possible. Different Pokemon take different amount of time to hunt. Some are even shiny locked, meaning they can only be obtained in their shiny form through real life events. In the majority of Pokemon games, there are methods to increase the base odds of getting a shiny Pokemon. In most games, you are awarded a shiny charm after completing the regional Pokédex, which is an item that boosts your odds by a significant amount. In modern Pokemon games, meaning Gen 6 and newer, the base shiny odds were lowered to 1 in 4,096, essentially halved. Coupled with the fact that there are increasingly more ways to improve your odds even more in the newer games, shinies have steadily decreased in rarity over the last few years. Now, having said that, there is a subset of people in the Pokemon community known as full odds shiny hunters. This dedicated group of people burden themselves with the base odds found in their game of choice, no tricks and no increased odds. Now, why would anyone do this, you ask? Well, that's a question for another time. For now, we must understand that not all shinies are created equally. Some are significantly harder to obtain than others. What do I mean by that? Well, the speed of a shiny hunt is generally determined by how fast one can encounter the Pokemon they wish to hunt. For example, if I were to just run around in tall grass for an hour, I would roughly encounter 240 Pokemon an hour, which would be 240 shiny checks. That's 240 chances in which I could have gotten a shiny. Now, as you could imagine, due to various circumstances, the rate at which you can encounter Pokemon depends on the way in which you can encounter that Pokemon that you want to hunt. Obviously, you can't encounter every Pokemon in tall grass. So the average hunt time for a normal Pokemon that appears in grass would be, assuming we get around 4 encounters a minute, is 8,192 divided by 4, which is 2,048 minutes, or 34.13 hours. Now, what if I told you that the hardest shiny hunt would, on average, take approximately 1,200 hours to complete? And if you were to do it 100% legitimately, it will cost you a good bit of money as well. That is what is required to legitimately obtain a shiny Manaphy. Let's take a look at what makes this hunt so time consuming and how you can attempt this hunt yourself. We must first get an understanding of how the hunt itself works, and then we'll look at how you can set up this hunt yourself and optimize it. Okay, so the only way to legitimately obtain a Manaphy that has a chance to be shiny is by playing through the OG Pokemon Ranger game, unlocking the Manaphy mission in the post game, obtaining the Manaphy egg from that game, and then transferring it over to your Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum copy. But there's a catch here, because the game determines whether or not the Manaphy is shiny based on the trainer ID and the secret ID. These are, for all intents and purposes, just two random numbers that are generated when you start your save file. This means as soon as you transfer your Manaphy egg to your Gen 4 game from the Ranger game, the game has already determined whether or not the Manaphy in that egg is going to be shiny or not. And as long as that egg is on that same save file, that's not going to change. You cannot hatch and reset the game to hunt it because the trainer ID and secret ID stay the same unless you start a new save file, which would then obviously delete the egg. So we now have two options. Either keep trading over Manaphy eggs from Pokemon Ranger games and hunt it that way, or trade your Manaphy egg to another Gen 4 save file with a different trainer and secret ID, and therefore re-rolling your shiny odds. The former option of the two isn't viable for one key reason. Per Pokemon Ranger copy, there can only be one Manaphy egg. It doesn't matter if you restart and replay the game, once you traded the egg away, it's gone. It's one per cartridge. If we were to try this approach, we would need a new, fully played through copy of the game for every Manaphy egg that we trade over. And I don't know, but buying 8,192 copies of Pokemon Ranger sounds kinda, well, impossible, but also unnecessary, since we have a better option. Trading the egg over to another save file, therefore re-rolling our odds because a different save file has a different trainer and secret ID. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, I don't have 8,192 copies of Gen 4 games. Does this mean I need to restart my save file over and over again and play until I can trade for every single egg hatch? And yeah, that's what you need to do. Though this process can be optimized a lot, and we'll have a look at that in a minute, but let's recap a little since this can be a bit confusing at first. Okay, so let's assume you were able to obtain a copy of Pokemon Ranger that still had the Manaphy egg available. You have two systems ready, both with a Gen 4 game inserted. You transfer the egg to console A. This Ranger game is now of no worth to us anymore, since the Manaphy egg on it has been transferred away. It cannot go back there, and there is no way to get another Manaphy egg from this game, even if you restart the save file. Now, we save our game on console A and hatch the egg. If the Manaphy is shiny, great, hunt completed. If not, we reset the game and trade it over to console B. This save file has a different trainer ID and a different secret ID. While hatching the egg on console B, you delete your save file on console A and play through the game until you can trade. This save file has now a new trainer ID and a new secret ID, meaning that if we hatch the egg on console B and it's not shiny, we soft reset our game and trade it back to console A, where we once again get a chance of it being shiny because this is now a new save file with a new secret and trainer ID. Okay, so now we understand how the hunt fundamentally works. We can greatly optimize this process by increasing our number of consoles to 4 and our number of eggs to 10. Yes, this requires you to find and buy and play through at least 10 different copies of Pokemon Ranger, since you're going to have to buy the used games which are not guaranteed to still have the egg on them. However, if you do manage to scrape together 10 Ranger copies with the Manaphy egg on them, and you have 4 Nintendo consoles with 4 different copies of a Gen 4 game, this hunt can be optimally executed. So let's set the stage here a bit. We have 4 consoles. What you want to do is you want to transfer 5 Manaphy eggs to one of the consoles respectively. You save on both consoles and hatch the eggs. Let's assume you didn't get a shiny out of the 10 eggs, so now you soft reset both consoles. In the meantime, you start a new save file on the other 2 consoles, play through the games until you can trade catching wild Pokemon on top of your starter, that is, to fill up your party. You will need those Pokemon to trade for the eggs, which you know aren't shiny since you have already checked them by then. Now it's just rinse and repeat. You reset the games where the eggs aren't on, creating a new save file, playing through the game until you can trade, catching 5 wild Pokemon. On the games where the eggs are, you hatch them. If they're not shiny, you trade them over to the new save file again. Rinse and repeat. I think at this point it's redundant to say that this is a hunt that takes extreme and utter dedication. I'm actually starting this hunt with this exact method I just explained. Shout out to Sonics for inspiring me to do this hunt. I love you, Sonics. Thank you. Wish me luck and subscribe because I will definitely be making a video once I inevitably get the shiny. I really hope I was able to comprehensively explain how this hunt works. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave a comment and I will be responding to every question. And with that, have a good rest of your day, and if you dare to try this hunt, happy hunting.